pretty much say any word you want to, and then we can tell parents of little kids.
Oh yeah.
What level of language.
Put the little explicit sign on
and you
there.
have little kids, so you know what kind of language.
I do. Well, you said CRAP in front of Chance yesterday.
I didn't know.
I gotta forgive you for that. Well,
okay.
We haven't talked about that.
All right, let's keep going.
Anyways. That I'm supposed to do?
Yeah, but try not to do that cheesy fake smile.
Yeah, it's my real smile.
Okay. I'll try not to do that cheesy real smile.
Oh, I'll try.
Hey. Welcome, everybody.
We live in
a hurting world where people hurt people all the time, and we're hurt by people. Hurting is the natural thing, but forgiveness is the supernatural thing. And we have been walking through how to pursue forgiveness, to recall the hurt in a different way, to empathize with the person that hurt you, offer forgiveness as an altruistic gift, and then to make that commitment, to decide that I will forgive and pursue forgiveness and then hold on to it, because often it will be a difficult thing to hold on to. You see the person that makes you mad, you remember them, and you kind of wonder, did I forgive? So I thought, I need to invite somebody with lots of practice on forgiving. And
forgiving you.
That's what I was going to say until you jumped in on it. I've probably
sorry butt.
given you more opportunities to practice forgiveness than anybody else in the world. So this is Laura Turner, and I'm so glad to join you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on forgiving.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
There's the camera right there.
Well, thank you. Yep. I'll practice forgiving you for that afterwards. Rude. I was thinking about Marilyn Robinson, who's one of my favorite writers and thinkers, and I think even on this series, I might have quoted her before, but she has a bit in the book Gilead. She has the bit about forgiveness that I have loved, where the narrator, John Ames, who's a pastor, is kind of recording his life in letters. And he's talking about his father and his grandfather, who are also ministers. And he says this, he says, and grace is the great gift. So to be forgiven is only half the gift. The other half is that we can also forgive, restore, and liberate. And therefore we can feel the will of God enacted through us, which is the great restoration of ourselves to ourselves. And
man, would you read that one more time? That's so good.
I love that, especially the last bit there. And grace is the great gift. So to be forgiven is only half the gift. The other half is that we also can forgive, restore, and liberate. And therefore we can feel the will of God enacted through us, which is the great restoration of ourselves to ourselves. I was thinking about how sometimes there will be sort of somewhat helpful sayings or platitudes around the idea of, like, you have to, forgive yourself first, or, think about having compassion towards yourself. And like, those things are so important and true. But as you think about holding forgiveness, especially towards other people, it's like we can't, in a way, I think of what she's saying as this idea that we can't really experience forgiveness ourselves until we've also extended it to other people.
Yeah.
And until we do that, we are only experiencing half of the gift. And then that picture that she kind of draws at the end of it's being restored, it's restoring ourselves to ourselves. It's like, I am not fully myself until I have been able to both receive God's forgiveness and extend it to other people so that they can be liberated, which I love that word, because it's always for our freedom that we are set free. And I just love what she has to say there. And I think there's something in that image of restoring ourselves to ourselves that helps me think of holding forgiveness as a way of kind of coming back to it over and over again, kind of like you do in meditation with the breath. If you lose it, that's okay. It's not about the feeling that you have or even the thoughts that you have. It's about returning to yourself or being restored to
I hadn't
yourself.
thought about that. It can feel really good to be forgiven. And when I've messed up, that has been very powerful.
Yeah.
But what a joy it is to actually be able to forgive somebody else.
Yeah.
And they may not respond well, but they may. And to
Mhm.
see somebody where they feel like they have been trapped in guilt or in a broken relationship, and to have that get restored.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they may not respond at all. Like it may be, we've talked a little bit about people where you might practice forgiveness, but you don't have a relationship with them. And so you can't tell them that you've forgiven them.
How do you go about doing that when you face that situation?
I mean, it's a crappy situation. Can I say that word on this YouTube channel?
You can
Crap.
pretty much say any word you want to, and then we can
Tim bleep
tell
me
parents
out.
of little kids,
Oh, yeah.
What level of language.
Put the little
Yeah.
explicit sign on
And you
there.
have little kids, so you know what kind of
I
language.
do. Well, you said CRAP in front of Chance yesterday.
I didn't know
I
that
gotta
that was
forgive
not
you for
allowed.
that. Well,
Oh,
we
okay.
haven't talked about that.
All right, let's keep going.
Anyways, so I think that one of the things that's like very true about forgiveness is there's an internal posture piece to it, and that is vital. And
Mhm.
then there can be a relational reconciliation piece to it.
Mhm.
If someone isn't open to that, I have to believe there's still a really good way forward for me
Yes.
to be able to forgive them. And sometimes I think, that you talked about the empathy. I think that is part of the requirement for forgiveness, even when I cannot set things right with someone in the way that would feel good to me to do, is I have to kind of like die to the wish that this relationship would look exactly the way I want it to. I have to respect the other person's personhood and choices. And that can be very painful and feel unfair and feel all kinds of things that I don't want to deal with. And so it makes it harder to forgive.
And just as you were saying that, if the relationship can't be there, rather than just saying they're bad
Yeah.
because they don't want to be in relationship with me or whatever,
Yeah.
that thought of I can respect the other person's choices. That's different language, but that's actually very helpful to me.
I remember, this is maybe a little bit of a rabbit trail, but maybe the most like deeply I ever heard that idea was there's a senator named Jamie Raskin, I think is his name.
Mhm.
And like right around the time of the January 6th situation, his son died by suicide. And he was going back to his workplace, which was in chaos. And he talked with another senator, and I would love to remember who it was, but she said something to him along the lines of like empathy, how horrific, and you have to respect your son's choice, which feels horrible. And he talked a little bit about that in this essay that he wrote. Like, I can't, how could I do that? And I remember when I was in college, I had a very dear friend who died the same way. And it still like rattles me a little bit to think about. And that's happened to me again a couple of times, or to, people I know. But it's like when someone else makes a decision, I can either kind of lose myself in what should be, what would be, and
how it
struggle
affects
a
me,
lot.
what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I can say, I cannot do any of this. I am truly powerless. Like a lot of this AA stuff, I have no control over the immense pain that I am experiencing and that is in the world. And I need to let this other person live the way that they are going to live. Now, all that energy and churn, I would turn towards them. With compassion, I turn towards myself so that I may be able to practice forgiveness, empathy with them. I wonder why they made these decisions. What kind of world did they see that it made sense to them to make this decision? What kind of pain were they in? And I don't live there, but I see.
But you can grow as a person
Yeah.
if you open yourself, if I open myself to try to consider what's the perspective of this other person.
Yeah, and if I don't open myself, there's a real fear there that I will never grow.
Yeah.
I will only ever be stuck. or only ever feel as good as my emotions are, instead of saying to myself, those emotions can be good servants, but terrible masters.
I was talking to our mutual friend, Mark Nelson, day before yesterday, and he was talking about a moment that was very significant for him. He was many years ago walking around just looking at people, I think downtown Chicago, and all of a sudden it occurred to him, just like I'm a self with all of these desires, thoughts, wishes, hopes, everybody is a self, which is like larger than the universe.
Yeah.
And when you talk about respecting somebody's choices, I think about Dallas Willard's comment that we all have a kingdom. So it's really kind of honoring somebody's kingdom.
Yeah.
And that I could walk around today, and as I see people, think, oh, that's a human being made in the image of God. They have a self. What's going on inside them? What's going on inside them? What's going on inside them? Rather than everybody's a bit player in my story.
Yes, which wouldn't we all like to think that? It's like the Truman Show over here. No, but I mean, I think that's true. And it's like we don't get to decide. It has nothing to do with whether we would approve of their decisions or make those same decisions.
Yeah.
Those questions are kind of irrelevant. But it's like, just like I have a million things in my head that would justify every decision I make, so do you.
Yep.
So does mom, so does that, so does everybody. And so one of the ways that I think we can honor the diversity of the image of God in people is to try to see through their eyes, and then also to practice not only receiving God's forgiveness, but also expending that forgiveness to someone else to liberate them.
So today, let the will of God flow through you. And remember not just that you are a forgiven person, but you have that gift to give to others. And everybody that you see is a self just like you. Forgive us our debts as we forgive. That's how I end.
Oh,
I'm sure you wouldn't see it.
You are forgiven.
Yeah.
Go in peace. Bye.
Thanks for joining us. At Become New, we want to grow spiritually one day at a time, but it's tough to do that alone. So we're offering a little more support for anyone who would like to work on putting the content into practice. You can sign up to receive a text at the end of each week in this series, asking if you completed the Here's How portion for that week. If you want, you can reply to the text and let us know how it went, or if you need prayer in taking those action steps. To sign up for the end of week reminder, just text the word MORE to 855-888-0444, and we'll put you on the list. As always, to receive the emails or video links by text, you can let us know at becomenew.com/subscribe. If you're already signed up for the emails but aren't getting them, try checking your spam folder, or better yet, you can add us to your contact list. Our email address is connect@becomenew.com. If you need prayer, we're here for you. Text your specific prayer request to 855-888-0444. There's a team of us who meet each weekday to pray specifically over every person who sends a text in. We'll catch you next time.